And good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome back to Ground Zero, where we talk about things happening in the world of H1Z1. So, kind of a podcast, more podcast than gameplay footage or anything like that, because the game hasn't come out yet. So, I really like just to talk about things I've read on Reddit or on tweets or from the big, huge 12-hour stream they did recently. And we've already spent a lot of time talking about that live stream. So we'll spend a little bit about some stuff I've seen on the Reddit. Now, I did post my own Reddit, which I don't think went very far. One of the things I saw in the live stream was someone asked a very cool question. I thought this was an important question. They asked, hey, are we going to be able to see the health bars, hunger bars, and stuff like that on the screen? Or are we always going to have to open up like the character screen to see that stuff? And the answer was, we don't know, was essentially that. They hadn't decided. And I thought, well, with a company that has a lot of history, making these games, one of the things they're known for is allowing users to kind of customize the user interface, what you see on the screen. And that was my Reddit was, hey, what kind of user interface options will we see? And maybe I didn't title the Reddit very well, because that seems to be a real attention grabber. Maybe if I named it, hey, this game really sucks, people would read it and see what I was talking about. Maybe I should go that route. But basically the gist of my Reddit was, let people decide. If you want to pull up and tweak your user interface so that it shows the hunger bar, the thirst bar, your health, and then move that element on the screen and resize it, I think that'd be awesome, because it just made me think back to, say, like how they do EverQuest 2. Now, you don't necessarily have to make it completely moddable like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has huge mods that really go in and pull data from the game, and then people complain because now some like the raid gear mods and stuff like that basically tell people if you can get into a group or not. So you don't have to go that deep into it, but like if you look at EverQuest 2, what they've done is they've allowed folks to make mods that really just more focus on the visual functionality of it, more so than how you can manipulate the game data. I know they do have some things like that, some auction house mods and tweaks and things like that, but a lot of what they do in EverQuest 2 is more on the visual lines. So it'd be very cool that if you had the stock game, but then if you did allow user moddable tools, but more make that like graphically, don't make it so you see through grass and stuff like that. We're not talking about cheating, but we're just saying, how do you want to see the world when you play? So if you did have your health bar displayed, did you want it to look like a hospital beeping monitor kind of a thing? That'd be kind of cool if you could tweak it that way. Now, if you couldn't, but you just want the in-game elements changeable, then I would say, yeah, let us choose what bars we want to see. Maybe one, all of them, or just, health, but hunger and thirst you keep off, but you just want to see your health on the top. But then, like I said, make that so you can maybe resize it and then change where it's located. Maybe you want it right below your survivor. Maybe you want it up in the upper right-hand corner. I think that would add quite a bit to the game. That whole, this is my game, this is how I live in the world, and this is how I want to see my data. Just let us customize it, and I think that would be great. I know there's always some folks that say that's, potentially, I like to hear my sound here, that's potentially a bad thing. Somehow they think that, I'm not going to say everyone, but I do know, and I have read this from other games, I think that kind of gives an unfair advantage. But not really, everyone has their own definition of immersion. And so you might have someone who says, well, I feel more immersed if none of that content is displayed. Great. Some people feel more immersed, not so much from how realistic it makes it, but more immersed for how it pulls them into the game. And for them to be pulled into the game means they can see their character status. Like me, as a person, I know when I get hungry or have to go to the bathroom or want to go get a drink. But if I'm just looking at a screen, I might not know that, until they put indicators like you are hungry. But then how immersion breaking is that to have the pop-up, but if I had my bar, to me that might not be immersion breaking for realism, but that does immerse me into my character, because I can at a glance go, oh yeah, I'm thirsty, let me get a drink. It's different for everyone. So I thought that would be a cool Reddit post. It died. I don't think it went anywhere, so I just share it here with you. Now I think I figured out how to swap tabs here. So just as I was looking through, I mean, this is it's active. It is an active community. So I thought what I would do is not open the Reddit necessarily, but just kind of look at some of the cool stuff here that we got. Now I'll just start at the top, because every time I come in here, it's a different list. So the first one here, H1Z1 is free to play, but for $20, I need to know exactly what features will be available upon release for early access. Here's my thought on that. Who cares? We already know what we're getting. You get zombies, you get a guy who runs around stabbing them with an axe potentially. If you can make the torch, you can set stuff on fire. I've already seen if you swing at barrels with your torch and set the barrel on fire, it'll blow up and kill you. There's the potential at some point to get a Jeep, because it is in the game, but you might have to find the parts to put it together. You're not going to get a dev code and have a Jeep. Yeah, I already know what I'm getting in the game. I'm getting a zombie survival game, so I don't need to know exactly what's going to come in it. If you've ever watched a DayZ gameplay video or Dead Linger, you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to get in the game. Some food and things like that. So for me, all I need to know is $20 and when's it coming out, and then I can start playing. Ooh, payroll's on the rise. Yeah, I wish. My payroll is not on the rise. So that was an interesting. I didn't read it. Like I said, I'm not gonna pull these up and read their here's my opinions on it. So that's a thought that I had when I see that. It doesn't really matter, and mostly also because since this is as early an alpha pretty much as you could expect, all of that is bound to change. When you watch that live stream, they put a lot of in-game footage, and they had a little user interface for interacting with the backpack and stuff like that. That doesn't mean it's how it's going to look at the time it releases. That's, think of it as framework and placeholder stuff. So even if they say, here's what you're getting for $20, does it really matter? Because that's all going to change anyway. So that was my thought on that. Then it says, character models are no bueno. Well, I don't know what bueno means, but I'm thinking he doesn't like the character models. Not to sound like a broken record, but hey, they don't look that bad. I've seen worse, and you gotta think too, again, these are placeholders. They don't even have the character models in yet. The thing is, when a game comes out in alpha like it's doing, and you pay $20 to get into it, there is a legitimate thought that you're paying for the game. Like, you've bought it, the game is released. And then it's fair to say, yeah, that character model sucks. That's fair to say, because you just paid money to have the right to say, hey, I'm playing the game and the character model sucks. On the defense of the company, though, when they slap that alpha tag on it, that's its way of saying, but that's a placeholder. We've only been working on the game a few months. They make it sound like they've only been working on it for a few months, and what they've accomplished in a few months is pretty spectacular. And you have to think, they put in the character model and then they move on to something else. Because right now, they're at a point of the game development where they're trying to put in as many features as possible so they actually have a game to present to the public. So yeah, they have a guy, he's got character models. They might not look great, but they've moved on to other stuff. Once they have enough of the other things put in the game, then they can come back and look at character models. From the live stream, they're still working on the wolf animations. So the wolf is already in the game, but they're still working on wolf animations like howling and snarling and stuff like that. They have deer, but they have to fix that the deer float. There's like all kinds of stuff that probably to them are going to be more precedent taking than just, the guy character models don't look very good. So I agree, they could probably be improved upon, but I doubt we're going to see anything on that particular item until much further down the road. They're in, they work, let's get some other features in. And I think that's kind of where their mindset is. They're in, they work, let's add additional stuff now. Let's see here. Pay more for early adoption trend doesn't make sense to me. Alright, so without reading that, but it's a good statement. This is what triggers my thought process. You're right. It's terrible. Oh my goodness. Let's just look at some of the most recent ones. So Landmark came out, and they did their alpha, and you could pay. There was like 3 tiers. There was like a $25, $50, and then a $100 tier, I think. I don't remember. I don't want to look it up. But $100 seemed like a lot to get into alpha, but it gave you the alpha access and a whole bunch of in-game stuff. But honestly, there was nothing there that I had to have. And now that the game is in beta, and I'm not sure how long it will be in beta. Alpha actually went pretty quick. When I compare that to like the Dead Linger has been in alpha forever. Daisy Standalone has been in alpha forever, it seems like, when you compare it to, say, Landmark. Their alpha was only a few months, and then beta, who knows how long that will be. So yeah, that was pretty pricey to get into it, and it seems like, wow, where'd that time go? Because I think that was back in January. We paid $100, and then boom, we were in February, and now here it is just a couple months later. We're looking at a pretty close to release. So I thought, well, that was worth it, because my wife got to put her name in the credits. So she's part of the development history. But now, let's take a look at some other games that want money. The ArcAge, whatever you want to call it, from Tryon, the Korean game that they're importing. Well, they have a $150 package. And I was like, oh my goodness. So what they did was they looked at how successful that worked for Sony with Landmark and said, well, gee, there was a lot of people that were more than happy to pay $100. We'll just charge $150 and throw in some, clothing packs and some titles. Oh my goodness. And this game's already been out for a while. Now you had to think, Landmark, that didn't get imported from anywhere. That was made here at Sony. ArcAge has been around for well over a year. I don't know exactly how long, because it's originally from Korea, and I've been reading about it on different websites for a very, very long time. It's been alpha testing in Russia, and we're just now possibly starting to see the alpha come out to the States pretty soon. And so you're paying $150 for a game that's already been out for a while. That's kind of crazy. Now, it's worth it to people who really like it, who have played the Russian beta and really like it, and now they get to play it in English with proper translations and gameplay optimized for the West. So Tryon is taking the game and really trying to make it more what they think people would want to play. Okay, that's respectable, but $150, and I think mostly it's because they said, hey, if Sony can do it, so can we. So the price is going up. Now, I went on to a website, massively.com website, and they were talking about the Warhammer game. I think it's a Warhammer game that Jagex, or maybe it was Transformers. I forget which one it was. But there's a game coming out by Jagex, I think. The people who did, what is that? RuneQuest something. I don't know. I don't play it. But they're charging like $450. And I think there's like a Warhammer one. They had like a $500 package. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I made a comment on this on the Massively article I read, and it was like it's an arms race. You know, it's so weird. It's like the companies are taking the idea of a Kickstarter, but not really giving you the rewards of a Kickstarter. They're just giving you alpha access. And the prices are escalating a lot. So it really kind of is a Kickstarter program to get them money to get developing and to pay for the game before it comes out. Because a lot of these guys are making this game as a free-to-play. So they're trying to get as much money as they can out of the game now. Now, I know people kind of don't like that practice because you are getting an unfinished product and there's no guarantee that they can finish the product. You know, and I've had plenty of discussions on this with the Dead Linger and the benefits of paying your $20. But let me tell you, in light of seeing prices like $100, $150, $450, $500, $20 to get into a game, I can do. I will do that. Because now, not only am I in it when the game is broke and I can complain about it, but now I'm there for the entire life cycle of the game. I'd rather pay $20 than $150 to get in and play a broken game. So, how does that have any bearing on H1Z1? Well, right now the numbers coming out for access to H1Z1 is $20. I'm okay with that. And that's why it kind of ties back to when the person says, well, for $20, I want to know what I'm getting. Who cares? You're getting into the game at a great price and you get it forever. Yeah, the game's going to be free to play, and then pretty soon everybody will have it forever, but you're getting in at a chance to see the game progress. You're there from the beginning. For $20, I'm okay with that. For $150, I'm not okay with that anymore. So I totally agree with that guy's, post there. Escalating costs to get into alpha is terrible. Maybe if I was getting a statue and a figurine and some other stuff that they do with like console games, shoot, you can go look at the Titanfall pre-buy-in package and they had like $150, but you got like a statue, you got like some really cool stuff. Star Wars Old Republic, when that came out, you got like a figure and a book. I mean, there was like a lot of stuff you got for that $150. Yeah, the limited edition kind of a thing. But now, yeah, I won't do it for an MMO because there's no physical asset that comes with it. It's like you get a shirt. Like my wife, she got like a whole bunch of outfits and different things for Landmark, and she wears one outfit. She gets a title, but it's so rare that you see other people because everybody's crafting. Who cares what your title is? So, yeah, there's going to be a point where people say, you know what, just go ahead and keep your alpha. I'll wait. So I'm glad that there are people who can afford to pop in $450 to, play in the alpha. I wish I had that kind of disposable income. But, yeah, but I gotta pay like for food, and we got a baby on the way. Like that's a whole lot of diapers and stuff that a baby will go through. So, $20 for an alpha access, more than happy to do. All right, let's see. The ability to hide in dumpsters, lockers, and closets. Okay, so this was something that was mentioned in the live stream. They said that if you were hiding in a bush and then you stayed in that bush long enough, your character would go into a hidden state. And so they would be kind of camouflaged from other players and zombies. And the way they were kind of describing how the game works now is when you're in the world, you are essentially creating like a little heat map, a little heat spot on the map. And then depending on how close the zombies are, they just kind of sense your presence and kind of start coming towards you unless something distracts them, like a bigger heat source or something. Okay, hide in the bush long enough and boom, that kind of disappears off the map. And now you're hidden. And now I've read, some replies to that was, how is that realistic just because you're hiding in a bush? All right, well, so let's talk about why that's useful and then how you can expand it out to dumpsters and things like that. It's a mechanic that makes sense from the point of view that your character, don't think of him as simply sitting in the bush. What he is doing is now taking elements from around his environment and camouflaging himself. That's what snipers do. For instance, let's just say, a sniper puts on a ghillie suit, but the ghillie suit alone does not make you invisible. What makes a ghillie suit work is the fact that you can add terrain to it. I'm not talking like you're putting like a boulder, but the way a ghillie suit works is that you take surrounding vegetation and things in your area and add it to the ghillie suit. So when you're sitting in brush, the ghillie suit has the exact same matching brush, and now you've hidden yourself. So it's a stretch of the imagination, but when your in-game character sits in a bush, don't think of it as he's just sitting in the bush and now he's invisible. He's in the bush and he's trying to take those elements that are in his immediate surrounding and applying them to himself as camouflage. Okay, like I said, that's a bit of a stretch, but that's how I'm imagining it. Because in a game like that, sometimes it's hard, maybe they will in the future, but to animate that and then put bush and stuff on your character. So a simple way to implement the effects of that is just you sit in the bush long enough, boom, you're now on a hidden status. The details for how that works can come later. Okay, so let's stretch that out to things like dumpsters and stuff like that. Why not? The bush is the first thing, and think of it like this. They said that with the Jeep is just a way for them to test how vehicles can work in their game. Yeah, they're using Forge Light. Yeah, that's what they built PlanetSide 2 with, but it's completely different types of vehicles and stuff like that. So the Jeep has, 4 wheels, carries 4 people. They have to build that Jeep first just to make sure vehicles can work in their game. Well, it's the same thing now with the bush. If they can get a hide mechanic down for a bush, then it's a matter of time when they say, hey, yeah, why don't we expand that out to a dumpster, or what was some of the things here? Dumpsters, lockers, closets. Yeah, we have to get this first mechanic down, because I think that would be brilliant. You watch a lot of horror movies or things like that, those are the logical places to hide, is a closet. Now think of it too like this though, you got to go back to the story. If your character in the game goes into a closet, it's not that you're standing there for 5 minutes and then boom, you're hidden. It's you're trying to get behind hanging coats and stuff like that. You're trying to hide yourself amongst the items in the closet. So that hide mechanic might not kick in until like maybe 1 minute of standing still, and then boom, the hide mechanic is turned on. That's because during that minute, your character's trying to camouflage themselves. Same thing with like a dumpster. Your character climbs into a dumpster, you have to wait maybe a minute. I don't know how long it will be, but let's say you wait 1 minute and then boom, you're hidden. Now, your character on the screen hasn't moved, but gameplay, story-wise, your character is trying to bury themselves in garbage. So as terrible as that may sound, it's either that or get killed by who's ever following you or the zombies that are chasing you. Let's see. Lockers, like at a school. Same thing. If you're small enough to fit inside a locker, it's harder to camouflage yourself in a locker. Except for the fact that there are so many lockers. So if you can hide in a locker and you're quiet, so that minute is you getting in, shutting the door, and then, positioning yourself that you're comfortable. Because trust me, even though you're trying to die, you want to be comfortable inside the locker. And then it's calm down, catch your breath, and then become calm, and then just become one with the locker amongst the other lockers in the hallway. Oh, okay, like my wife's saying like Beth and Daryl did in The Walking Dead when they hid in the trunk. It's like you get into the trunk, and it takes a moment for you to become one with the trunk. Yeah, I know that episode now. I remember that now. You got to tie it up from the inside, make it so they can't open it from the outside, and then just hide. Just stay quiet, and then let stuff pass you by. So I think it's a great mechanic. I don't think people should knock it and just say, well, that doesn't make sense. You got to think of the story behind the mechanic and why it would work. Then once you have it down for the bush, yeah, let's expand it out to other things. Garbage cans, like you can go on and on about how a hide mechanic could work. Maybe not get too crazy with it, but realistically, yeah, you could implement that to a lot of things. Well, anyway, that's a lot of rambling there. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh, yeah, I've talked quite a bit. So that's some Ground Zero. I know I talked a little bit longer than usual, but hey, it's the weekend edition. You won't hear anything till next Monday, so watch part of it now, watch part of it later, and then bam, you'll be ready to see new stuff on Monday. So have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for checking out the little podcast here. If you want or are curious about different things coming out in the H1Z1 that you want to talk about, just leave a comment. I love replying to comments. You guys usually have much better thoughts and ideas than I have. So, go ahead and share it out. And I will talk to everyone later. All right, bye-bye.